Hello everyone. Today 14 December 2022 and I have taken two questions from Hindu editorial. The first editorial I have taken a conservation bill that endangered forest right. So whenever we read the article we will try to connect the article with the syllabus. In syllabus we have GS paper 3. Under that we have important topic environment. Under environment we have to study wildlife conservation. Then we have to see what type of questions UPSC is asking with regard to environment. So whenever any act remain in the news, UPSC is going to ask the questions like Biological Diversity Act. So now Parliament has amended Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So that's why this act become very important. Then we have to collect some important data, example, report, which will be very helpful whenever you are going to write the means answer. So I have taken very simple and direct question and very relevant questions like what are the reason for introduction of Wildlife Protection Act 2021? Discuss its salient features and their effectiveness. So believe me, like in your mains answers, your structure, presentation and content play very important role. Whatever content you have to write in very structured way. So in structure we have introduction, body and the conclusion. In body we have to make as per demand of the questions. Introduction we can give simple, we can define or brief introduction about the act, or we can give context why this act is going to be amended. Then body we have to give a rationale behind the amendment, why amendment are going to be happen in this particular act, salient features of the amendment and their effectiveness, and then we have to give some challenges, and then we have to mention way forward. So introduction in simple way, just define about the act. It is very simple. You just talked about the act. What is Wildlife Protection Act? We can say that provide for the protection of wildlife, wild animal, birds, plant, with a view to ensuring the ecological and environmental security of the country. It empower the state to declare protected area under four category: national park, wildlife sanctuary, community reserves and conservation reserve. You can give context also. Then why this act is going to be amended? So we have to write, you can draw diagram also, you can draw flow chart also, and you can write in point also. Number one point, rationalize schedule for the purpose of clarity. So as of now we have 6 schedule. These 6 schedule is going to be converted into 4 schedule. Number one. Second thing is proper implementation of provisions of the site. So we have Convention on International Trade on Endangered Species. So the provisions of these international conventions are going to be included in the act. That's why we have to amend this particular act. Enable control of invasive alien species. We know that, okay, this particular act does not have much provisions with regard to this invasive species. This particular act giving power to central government to control invasive species, better management of protected areas, and empowered central government for improved implementations. So because of all those purpose, this act is going to be amended. Then, so as of now we have Wildlife Protection Act. In this act we have 6 schedule. These 6 schedule is going to be converted into 4 schedule. So we can say that schedule 1 and schedule 2 is going to be schedule 1. Here we have heavy punishment. Schedule 3 and schedule 4 is going to be schedule 2, where we have lesser punishment. Schedule 5 is going to be deleted and schedule 6 is there, and we are going to add one more schedule, that is with regard to site, provisions of the site. So as of now we have 4 schedule, like from 6 schedule we have 4 schedule. Schedule 1 higher protection, or we can say that higher punishment. Schedule 2 lesser protection. Schedule 3 protected plant species, plant, and then schedule 4 have a provisions with regard to site. That point is very important for your prelims examination. So salient features of the amendment. The number one, rationalization of the schedule. Number two, we can say that new chapter 5th B for implementation of the provisions of the site. So how India is going to implement the provisions of the site? So central government will establish two authority. Number one, management authority, and number two, scientific authority. A management authority have certain power to implement the provisions of the site. Number one, this management authority will give export import permit. If any authority or any company want to do trade with regard to wildlife, so they have to take a permit from management authority. Second thing is, if any person is doing trade in scheduled specimen or scheduled wildlife, they have to report of the transaction to management authority. Third thing is, management authority will put identification mark on the species. Okay, and fourth thing, if any person have any living specimen or living species like tiger, elephant, they have to get registration certificate. Just remember these four important power management authority as of now have. Number one, giving export import permit. Number two, if any person is doing trade in specimen which are mentioned in the schedule of the sites, they have to report the transactions to management authority. Number three, management authority will put identification marks on the species. If any person have living specimen like tiger, elephant, they have to get registration certificate. Okay. Scientific authority advise to central government with regard to impact of the species which are going to be traded. Consider elephant trade is going to be happen between two countries, then scientific authority will advise to central government what will be the negative consequences on the elephant. This point you have to remember. Third thing, declaration of Burmese wild animal. Earlier, Burmese wild animal was mentioned in Schedule 4 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. But now Schedule 4 is deleted and this power is given to central government. Central government time to time notify, okay, these are the Burmese animal. Okay, Burmese animal can be hunted by the people. Then invasive alien species, because too much international trade is going to be happen, because of that reason alien species are growing and these alien species have too much negative consequences on our biodiversity. Again, central government has power to regulate these alien species and prohibit the import, trade, possession and proliferation of the alien species. That point also you should remember. Third and the fourth point. Then fifth point, control of sanctuary. Like we have wildlife sanctuaries. These wildlife sanctuaries are going to be controlled by chief wildlife warden. That point you have to remember. Okay, they are controlled as per guidelines given by central government. So central government will put some guidelines. Based on guidelines, management plan is made by state government, and as per this management plan they are managed by chief wildlife warden. If any sanctuary comes in the area of scheduled area, so scheduled area we have like tribal area, we have their gram panchayat has the power. So chief wildlife warden has to consult with the gram sabha also. That point you have to remember. Then conservation reserve. So we have national park or sanctuary. National park and sanctuary have their boundary. Okay, surrounding it we have the land. This land can be declared as a conservation reserve. Like outside or surrounding land of national park or sanctuary can be created as a conservation reserve. This conservation reserves can be created by state government and central government. Both have the power to create conservation reserve, like central government and the state government. And then surrender of captive animal. Like consider any person have captive animal like lion, tiger, if they want to surrender it, they will not get any compensation. That point you will remember. Now some penalty is going to be improved. like increase. General violation, if someone is violating the law or Wildlife Protection Act. So earlier we have 25,000 rupees. Now it will be 1 lakh rupees. Special protected animal at least 10,000, at least 25,000. For prelims perspective, just remember these penalties. Then challenges. So this article is talking about because of Wildlife Protection Act, criminal cases against the local people are continuously increasing, especially tribal people. Okay, number one. Number two, compromise livelihood opportunity of to the local people, because as protected areas is there, local people cannot enter into the these protected areas. Not in accordance with the Forest Right Act. So some challenges you can write with regard to Wildlife Protection Act, because one side we have Wildlife Protection Act, other side we have Forest Right Act. So both are somehow conflicting with each other. Then you can just conclude as per your like maybe more article will come, then I will give some more good conclusion also. Then second article, the rise of rural manufacturing. So rise of rural manufacturing. So whenever we have to read any article, we will try to connect the article with the syllabus. In syllabus we have GS paper 3. Under that we have planning, growth, development. For that topic, rural development is very very important. And because around 70% of Indians are living in villages, okay, and rural economy provide employment, so that's why rural development become very very important. Then we have to collect some important data, example, report, that will be very very helpful whenever you are going to write a means answer. Now here I am giving some point like characteristics of rural industries. So when we talked about rural industries, so very low investment. If you want to start an industry in urban area, it required lot of investment. Whenever you want to start a industry in rural areas, it require less investment. Low gestation period, use of locally available raw material, use of traditional skills, located mostly within household in the village area, low capital output ratio, usually small in scale, labor intensive. So basically for this purpose we have to focus more on rural industrialization. Then what type of industry we have? Like we have traditional village industry, light industry, medium group industry, heavy industry, and sunrise industry. Like we have food processing industry, tourism, we have heavy industry, biofertilizer plant, biopesticide plant, mini steel plant. We have medium group industry like mini cement plant using molasses and coal energy, miner, paper, okay, animal feed, fodder, such type of, and then khadi, cottage, okay, those industry, they are again very very important, okay, type of the industry in the rural areas. And these industry we have to promote to generate employment, to address poverty, and to address forceful migration from village to urban areas. Then I have taken the questions like discuss the causes and consequences of rural industrialization. Also highlight major hurdles in rural industrialization and measures taken by government to address these issues. So by direct questions, so here you can just define what is rural industrialization. Okay, you can give context also why rural industrialization is going to be happen in India, any report, any data. Then you have to give causes, consequences, hurdle and measures. You have to make a subheading and then write in the point format. Introduction. You simply, I have given one introduction here, just go through it. Like rural industries are known farm activities that depend on rural resources and are primarily meant for employment generation through effective utilization of locally available resources, human power and technology. That way you can just define what is rural industries. Then causes of rural industrialization. As per the article, there are three important causes we have. Number one cause we have factory floor space supply constraint. You have seen in the urban areas, cities are very congested, and you have one building. In one building you are running one small industry. If you want to expand, you cannot expand because of land or space constraint. Because of space constraint, if you want to take heavy machines you cannot install in that space also. So for that purpose, somehow industrialization is going to be happen in rural areas, or industries are moving from urban to rural areas, because in the rural areas we have enough space. Second thing is the production cost differential. Whenever industry is established in urban areas, input cost is very high because of land cost, labor cost, capital cost, and skill. They are very high. Whenever industry is going to be established in rural areas, this input cost will be very less. And capital restructuring. So as per Marxist and radical geographers, they talked about whenever a company become very big, so deliberately they are shifting from urban areas to rural areas. So three important factor you can write, especially this cost and the space. That is a major factor. That's why industries are moving from urban area to rural areas. Then, then we can talk about like causes, the cause of national development. So whenever what will be the consequences, whenever rural development is going to be happen, what will be the consequences? So these consequences will be national development. So national development means crucial for growth of rural economy. So we can say that whenever rural industrialization going to be happen, it is very important for growth of rural economy. Case study, we have a case study of Kerala. So here crucial for growth of rural economy, like employment generation for skilled, non-skilled, diversify rural occupation, raises income and living standard. So whenever industries are going to be established in rural areas, automatically employment will generate, diversification of occupation is going to be happen, and raises income and standard of people. And we have one case study also of the Kerala. In Kerala, historically, we have rural manufacturing industries, and because of that, economic diversification happened. This economic diversification also lead villages are going to be converted urban areas. Like between 1970 to 1991, around 100 villages were going to be converted into cities. So we can say that this is going to lead rural economy or growth of the rural economy. Second, addressing the problem of agricultural labor. So agricultural labor, generally they are seasonal migrant. They are going to cities and living in very distressed state. So whenever rural industrialization is going to be happen, it is going to generate more employment generation. Whenever more employment generation happen, poverty is going to come down. So here one RBI report is also there. So RBI report talked about, because of rural industrialization, employment is going to develop. Whenever employment is going to develop, automatically employment will increase the income. Whenever income is going to increase, poverty is going to come down. Then we have inclusive national development. So like generally what happens, cities consider growth engine of the country. So generally GDP or generally growth happen in cities only, and it will lead inequality in regional development. So whenever industries are going to be established in rural areas, automatically agrarian economy is going to be converted industrialized economy, and we can see that balanced development is going to be happen. Then balanced industrialization, so it is not happen only on urban, it is happening rural also. Per pervasion of India's rich culture. So through rural industrialization, we can protect or we can conserve our heritage also, like Pasmina soul in Kashmir, blue pottery in Jaipur, bangles of Faizabad. Okay, all those things are going to be protected. Then promotion of micro and small enterprises. Okay, so all the point we can write. Then women empowerment. So you can write the case study of the women empowerment also, because generally women are involved in rural economy and achieve sustainable development goal. So we have some causes and then we have some consequences of rural industrialization. Then major hurdles. So major hurdles are very general in nature, like protection syndrome. You can talk about where the item reserved for small scale industry are unable to compete with uh, imported product after economic reforms. Then inability to access credit is not available, infrastructure is not properly, marketing is not okay, a general point only. Then competition for procuring raw material, lack of appropriate technology, and inability of adoption of available technology, all the challenges we have with regard to rural industrialization. And government has taken various schemes, just go through it. Formal institutional arrangement are there, some schemes are there, just go through all the scheme. Okay, and then you have to give your conclusion. You can talk about how much rural industrialization is important for India. So very important topic, general topic, and this point can be used in your mains answers also and in your essay also. Then we have one more article. So this article anyway we have discussed earlier also, like attack on the last bastion of judiciary. This article is talking about why government is compromising this I can say that like constitutional institution. So when we talked about democracy always talked about accountability and transparency. Accountability and transparency is important pillar of the democracy. So one side we have executive means council of minister headed by prime minister. Then other side we have parliament, like election commission of India, central information commissions. So we have seen continuously their role is going to compromise. Parliament, we have seen their parliament is not able to ensure accountability of the government. So these institutions are important to ensure accountability of the government, but somehow election commission of India, we have seen issues with regard to removal, with regard to appointment. Central information commission is not able to control the executive. So we can say that government accountability is going to come down. And again we have important pillar judiciary ensure accountability of the government toward the people. And here some issues have emerged. One issue like judiciary, one side we have transparency and the accountability, other side we have independence of the judiciary. And independence of the judiciary is part of basic structure, and judiciary is protector of the constitution. So now a struggle is going between government and the judiciary. So here judicial appointment. The judicial appointment is done by executive like President of India in the consultation of CGI. But we have seen multiple problem. That's why collegium system has emerged. When collegium system has emerged, so now executive is raising the questions on the opaqueness, like they are telling collegium system is opaque and vacancy is increasing continuously because of collegium system is not recommending the name. So collegium system, and then we have like memorandum of procedure. In memorandum of procedure, Supreme Court judges are appointed by Chief Justice of India. They are giving the recommendation of the name. And in High Court judges, whenever there is a vacancy, then High Court will give the name to the CGI or to the collegium, but delay in the appointment. So we can say that one side we have government have its own argument, and collegium system also have its own argument. So this debate is continuously going on. So you have to develop some point, what mechanisms we have to develop to appoint the judges and without compromising the independence of the judiciary. And last article, one more article we have with regard to model of development. So we have planning, we have mobilization of the resources. So here we have Kerala model of development, we have Gujarat model of development, we have Punjab, like Punjab model of development depend on agriculture, Gujarat depend on manufacturing and industrialization. Okay, Kerala depend on like human resource development, and we can see that Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu again depend on like state-led development. We can see that like PDS or so many measures state has taken. So here Gujarat model development, some advantage like economy development happen, per capita income has increased, but it have certain issues like benefit over development is confined to upper caste and OBC only. It is not able to improve the status of lower caste people, and human resource development is not going to be happen much. For example, stunting. In stunting, Kerala, Gujarat has a rank 26 out of 30 state. Okay, That point you have to remember. So here we can note say that Gujarat is appropriate model of development. Our model of development should be like that. We have to create employment. We have to ensure that development has to reach to the all the people. And again, so almost all the article we have discussed, whatever important articles are there, and hope you are able to understand now how to write the answer, how to frame the structure. Okay, and again, thank you for watching the video. And only one request I have to all of you: please subscribe my channel and like my video, and share my channel to all of your friends. And again, thank you for watching it.